Hello, meteorologist Ted Keller. This is another edition of Upstream Weather. As the title implies, we're looking upstream to see if any weather is coming our way. Now, a lot of times this is going to be when I really think threatening weather is coming. A lot of snow, ice, severe weather in the spring and summer, flooding. In this case, it's an active weather pattern, and tonight I'll highlight some of those areas and also talk a little bit about the long-range models that we depend on so much to see whether our forecasts into the future are actually going to pan out. This time of year, something that looks like a rain system like next week, there's enough air built into the system that maybe we'll find some cold air. So part of why I do this is to make you aware that there's a storm coming and then see if it needs any fine tuning. Let's get right into it. All right, what we're going to take a look at are two computer models, and we're going to start with the 500 millibar flow. What is this? For all practical purposes, as far as you're concerned, this is the jet stream. And when you see areas of red like this, that's faster winds, and when you see no color, that's really, really slow flow at about the middle of the troposphere, so about halfway up in the part of the atmosphere we care about, basically. So this is the first weather maker right here. This storm in the upper atmosphere is headed our way, and this is valid about now. If I go through, especially right around dinner time tomorrow, that's a quite intense little band of upper level winds. This produces a lot of lift in the atmosphere. There's sufficient moisture, so in other words, there's going to be a lot of rain wrung out of this, and there is a flood watch in effect for a pretty good chunk of southern Missouri from Springfield on south. A couple of inches of rain could fall in some areas as a result of this. So that's the first weather maker. And one of the things that meteorologists like to check is to see if the various computer models are in agreement. Now, in the short range, meaning a day or two, I actually expect a lot of the computer models to look the same. Let's check it real quick. This one we're looking at is called the GFS. Here is one that's nicknamed the Euro. It's run out of Europe, but you can see the difference between the two wasn't all that great. Everything is in about the same position at about the same intensity. So it gives forecasters a lot of confidence that this is actually what's going to happen. Even these shorter range models like this one run out of the US looks pretty decent as well. So all three of those are looking pretty good. Let's go back to this GFS model. Now we're going to run this ahead a little bit. Jet stream winds, here we go, here we go. Now right about here, this is Friday morning. This in the upper atmosphere is a trough of low pressure. The winds are flowing around it like this. Very strong winds on the eastern side. And what's curious about this is a cold front with cold air behind it. And if you take a look at the winter precipitation, this particular model does actually have a precipitation type output. Look what we see here. This is snow. St. Louis, down I-44 into southeast Missouri. This is Friday morning. I checked the sounding for this time. This is how the temperature and humidity and wind change with height. And this is purely snow, except at the surface it is a little bit above freezing at the beginning of this in the morning. So probably it's light and it probably won't stick very much for those people who do see it. But I do think there'll be some snow flurries flying around here on Friday. This is, again, a pretty active weather pattern. The other model, I had to go back. It doesn't have that particular map, so I'd have to go back and take a look and see. We'll go to 500 millibar and then wind speed again. Again, pretty good agreement. There's not a whole lot of change. Pretty much the trough's in about the same place, same timing, same strong winds on this side. Okay, again, two weather systems, pretty high confidence that they're going to be where they say they're going to be because the models agree, and also some winter precipitation possible on Friday. Let's move this ahead. We'll go back to the GFS. We'll move this over the weekend. Now, this is a ridge of high pressure. This is the opposite of a low pressure system. This is actually a pretty fair weather sign right here if you're underneath one of these. So this represents the weekend pretty much, not much going on there. Then things start happening out west. Now, look at this storm. This is Monday morning. Again, we're looking at the GFS model. Low pressure loft. If you watch my upstream video from a couple weeks ago when we were expecting that snow, something very similar to this was out in the southwest. The difference is that one was digging in and very potent. This one's more cut off. It doesn't mean it won't produce precipitation. It's just that it's going to be a little bit more independent. If I look at the model output for the Euro, again, a lot of agreement, not a lot of change, okay? And for weather systems coming off the west coast that far out, even though I want to have confidence that this is what's going to happen, I just know that agreement like that is actually kind of hard to come by. So I'm a little, believe it or not, I'm a little bit suspicious of the agreement. Anyway, that's just what forecasters go through. So this is going to be, I think, a rainmaker, at least the way it looks now, because if you kind of go forward to about Tuesday morning here, This has the precipitation output. This is all rain and low pressure in Texas, right here showing up. So this is really a pretty dynamic weather system, but all green. You'll see here all green. So that means it's going to be in the form of probably all rain. Now, the way I talk about this means if we can find any cold air on the edge of this, that would be snow. That might cause me to be a little suspect, but that's not the case with this one. Big old low pressure system deepens. Does the European model agree with this? Let's go back to the 500 millibar wind speed. Yeah, the two are almost, there's a little bit of difference between these two models when we get out that far, actually. But, that's to be expected. I'm also very interested in what's coming in on the left side of your screen, that purple area there that's cutting through Nevada and also into parts of Utah. That right there is kind of trouble, I think. But again, we're starting to get into fantasy land a little bit here because this is a week out. So it's really hard to say, and there's already starting to be some disagreements showing up in these models by any time after about Monday or so. Well, that wraps it up for this edition of Upstream Weather. Maybe another one coming up in a couple of days. We'll see how things develop upstream. By the way, if you like this video and others on this channel, please remember to subscribe. And in case you're new to YouTube, subscribe doesn't commit you to anything. It's really just letting me know that you like the content and you'd like to check out the channel. A lot of weather here, as you might expect, but I'm also doing other things with music and anything else I think of. I'm really trying to develop the channel, so your support would be greatly appreciated. I hope the weather treats you right, and we'll see you next time.